Hi everybody, this is Oksana, and in this video I'm going to be making this pendant here. It is for those of you that are not a fan of swirls. This is a very kind of clean looking pendant. There isn't any curls or swirls or anything on there. So if you want to see how to make this, just keep watching. So we're going to start out with 3 pieces of 20 gauge square dead soft wire. And the length is just a smidge over 14 inches. Let's just say 14.5 inches. And this is 20 gauge square wire, and I buy my wire from riogrande.com. And we're also going to be using some 24 gauge wire. You can use 22 or 24 gauge half round wire to make the connections. And let me measure my stone for you. It's, I think it's called a Copperite or Copperite. It's got the little like flecks in it that you can kind of see a little. So it is a little bit less than 1.5 inches, about 35 millimeters. So for the half round wire, I'm just going to leave it on the spool. I'm going to determine the middle of my wires. I'm gonna kind of stack them because square wires have the flat edges, so you kind of stack them. And I'm just gonna grab the tail end here of my half round wire, and just to get started, I'm gonna wrap that around a few times to connect the 3 wires together. And then I'm gonna use this bit here that's still connected to the spool. So to do that, what you have to do is guide it with one hand and then twist with the other hand. So this is going to be on the bottom of our pendant. This is roughly how long I decided to do it. It's probably about 1 centimeter. And then I'm just going to trim off the little tail ends here. And I want both of the tail ends to be on the same side. That's going to be the inside that's facing the stone, so you won't see them. They'll be hidden away, and I'm just pinching them down with my pliers, and then I'm just squishing the whole thing down with my pliers as well. And what you want to do now is, if you take the part with the little ends and you kind of face it upwards away from you, so the stone is going to be up here, and then this is going to be just the bottom of our pendant. You just want to hold it in the middle and put a sharp angular bend into it, like that. Maybe even a little more. So then what you want to do is you want to take your stone and this little angle that we made on the bottom is going to be here on the bottom of the stone, and you just want to hold it. You want to probably put it down on like a table or a flat surface, but I'm doing it in the air so you can see better here. And you just want to bend. We're basically just bending this frame around our stone here. Just want to make sure that it's centered there on the bottom. And then here, where the 2 sides are coming together, I'm going to just put a bend with your fingers. Like this, so that you can bring them together. So here's our little frame for our stone. So then here, where the 2 sets of wires are coming together, I'm just gonna reinforce that bend with my pliers. Just have it nice and together like this, and you have 3 wires on each side, so you just want to kind of stack them nicely. So you got 3 and 3 just stacked together, and then we're just going to take that half round wire again and again grab a couple of inches there of the little tail end of it, and just wrapping it around all 6 of these wires here a few times. And then after you've wrapped it a few times, we're just gonna push this down, and we're just gonna take this tail end, and here from the back we're gonna push it through to the front like this. You can kind of pull on it a little bit here from the front, and then just trim that off like that. So now we're going to continue with this wire that's connected to my spool. So what you want to do is you want to take the front 2 wires. So this is the front of my pendant. This is the front 2 wires here at the top. Just going to bend them forward. And then the back 2 wires, I'm going to bend them back, so that leaves the middle 2 wires, and that is going to be my bail. So I'm taking this wire and I'm just guiding it here so that it's going to go around the 2 wires here in the middle, and you just want to twist the frame of your pendant as you guide the wire around and around with your hand. So this is going to be the bail, and you can make it as tall or as short as you want. It's personal preference. So I'm just going to keep turning it like this off camera for just a minute. Alright, so once it is long enough to be your bail, if this is the front, I have it facing here toward me, then you want to just go to the back and trim it so that the little wire end of your bail is here in the back. So I'm just going to push it down, and then I'm just going to go over the whole bail and just kind of squish it with my pliers just to flatten that. So this is the back, this is the front. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take these frontmost wires, and with my pliers I'm going to put kind of a sharp bend in them to bend them down, and I'm going to want to push them all the way down, but they will easily get scratched if you just kind of squish them tightly with your pliers. So I have a little polishing cloth here that I use to polish the jewelry, and I'm just holding that to protect the wires as I squish that down. So see, that's been squished down. There's not a huge gap anymore. Just gonna do it a little more on the other side there. Try and get it nice and symmetrical. So now we've protected those wires, and I'm just going to hold them together with my pliers, and I'm just going to open them up a little bit. There we go. So for this frame, I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of push this wire so that it lines up with the rest of the wires. Like before, there was a gap that you may have noticed, but now I've kind of lined it up. So now I'm going to lock my stone in. So I'm going to take my stone, I'm going to put it in the frame, and first I'm going to lock it from the back by pushing the backmost wires, so the 1 wire on each side. I'm just taking it with my pliers and I'm putting a bend in it like this. So I'm trying not to make it so that it pulls too much here from the bottom, because you'll see, like, I want to retain this gap that's there on the bottom. I don't want to get these back wires to block it. So once you do that on each side. Then it's locked in from the back, could still pop out the front. So in the front here, if I just work my pliers here and I just wedge them, as you can see, just wedging them in there. Now I'm going to slide them down to where the stone ends, and I'm putting bend in them like this. So I'm just going to do that on each side. Just ignore these other wires that are kind of in the way right now. So just like this. And now these wires here, I'm just going to take them and I'm just going to pull them through that gap on the bottom there, now that my stone is locked in. So what you want to do here with those wires is you want to try and just kind of use your fingers or your pliers to just line them up here so they just go nicely along the edge of the stone. And then once you get here to the bottom, I'm just going to bend them like that. And then trim that while leaving a little wire end so that wire end can be tucked in, but not so long that it'll go all the way through. You just want to tuck away the wire end so it isn't exposed. So just like that, and here on the back you can kind of see it in there maybe, but it's not poking out. So now on the other side, I'm just using my pliers at first here just to try and get that wire lined up nicely at the top, and then the rest I'm just kind of pushing with my hands to line that up. And then I'm bending it around, trimming it off. And then I'm just taking that wire end and tucking it away in here. I think this wire end is just a smidge too long, so I'm just gonna get in there and trim it just a little bit shorter because I don't want it to stick out in the back. So now these backmost wires, this is optional, but I think it looks cool if you twist them. So if you just hold the wire with your pliers and you twist just the whole pendant, what you'll see happening, because it's square wire and it has those flat edges, is it starts to make a pattern like this, like a twisted pattern. So if you like the look of that, then feel free to do this to your pendant as well. So I'm just gonna try to match the amount of twist that I did on the other wire there. Let's see, that looks even. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these wires and, oh, what happened here? Oh, I think when I was twisting it, I pushed it. All right, so I'm gonna take these wires, this is the back, and I'm gonna put them in this gap here on the back. And then I'm just gonna pull them through to the front. And here on the back, I'm just gonna try and get a nice, let me get my cloth again, because I don't wanna scratch up the front here. I'm just gonna protect the front with my little cloth, and I'm just gonna try and press down on those wires here in the back. All right, so let me just fix that, it's all crooked. Okay, so here in the front we have, let me just make sure that I keep each wire on its correct side here. Okay, so we have the 2 wires coming out the front. So I'm just kind of using my hands to make them a little straighter. Here they are. And so what you want to do is feed it through this gap on the bottom. And then once you pull it through, just push it towards the edge here, just like we did before, like that. And then here, bend it. And exactly like we did before, we're just gonna trim it off and tuck away the little wire end just into this gap here. So now we're just gonna do that on the other side. I'm just gonna hold it upside down. So we're just gonna pull it through, and you can see here, I'm just gonna guide it so that it lays down nicely, just right along this edge here. And then I'm just gonna push it here. Oh, look what happened to my bail. Where is it going? I'm just making sure that it's not all crooked now at the top. All right, there we go. That's looking good. So I'm just gonna trim that. And push that in. Pinch that down. All right, so all we have left is our bail now. So what I'm gonna do with the bail is, if you need to use like a bail making pliers or a pencil just to shape the bail, you can do that, or you can shape it by hand. I like to shape my bails by hand, just basically making that little bail shape there. And you could twist these wires as well if you wanted to, but I'm just gonna leave them as they are. I'm just making sure that I keep each wire on the side that it is meant to be on there, like this. Then I'm gonna take the wire end. I think you know where this is going. I'm pulling it through, and I'm just guiding it with my hands so it lays down nicely just right alongside all those other wires. And here, same thing, wrapping it around and just trimming that off. Squishing, squishing, squishing down that wire end. And then just the same thing on the side. We're just gonna take and push that through here, and I'm just pushing that so it lays down just not on top of, but alongside of these other wires here, the twisted wires specifically. And just wrapping that around and trimming it and tucking away the wire end there. So now I'm just pushing on that wire to close up any gaps that may have occurred. You can use your pliers as well to push that down. Just kind of pushing in this direction. There we go. So all the wires are lined up nicely on each side of the pendant, and then that's it. They're all tucked away. So here is the finished pendant. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.